Hello YouTube, this is Fear the Ghost, and I'm actually going to be making an Entermate deck. Now, if you don't already know, the Pendulum Monsters have finally come to Dueling Network. Yes, that's right, we finally have Pendulum Monsters on Dueling Network, and we have Pendulum Zones. So, getting back to business, the Entermate archetype is one that's fairly based on Pendulum Summoning and switching the attack and defense of your opponent's monsters. So let's get started. Entermate with Viper is one I've seen, and it's got a very good effect. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can target one face-up monster on the field and switch that monster's attack and defense until the end phase. There's also Entermate Bugandola. Anyway, when it's targeted for an attack, you can change it to defense position and negate the attack. We also have Entermate Swordfish. If it's normal or special summon, all monsters your opponent currently controls lose 600 attack and defense. Now, this isn't until the end phase or anything like that. It is a permanent loss of 600 attack and defense. If you special summon a monsters while controlling this face-up card, all monsters your opponent currently controls loses 600 attack and defense. So he is also quite good. Then we have Entermate Discover Hippo. Now, if you haven't seen any of the new Arc 5, you can, then whenever you do, one of the first things you'll notice is you'll see the main character riding around on a big pink hippo, and that's this. So, in the new one, it's card games on pink hippos. Yep, card games on pink hippos, and this is the hippo you'll be riding. Anyway, during the turn this card was normal summoned, you can tribute summon one level 7 or higher monster in attack position in addition to your normal summoner set. Now this isn't bad, but it actually has nothing to do with the archetype. It has to do with just Yuya's actual effects. It just has to do with, well, not effect, deck. Yuya's deck uses stuff like Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, so it's literally just to summon those. Also, we have Entermate Silver Claw. Entermate monsters you control gain 300 attack while he's in Pendulum Zone, and when this card declares an attack, all Entermate monsters you control gain 300 attack until the end of the battle phase while he's in monster on the field. Next up, we have Entermate Kaleido Scorpion. Light monsters you control gain 300 attack and defense. Now, I would like to say that except for itself, just except for itself, so far none of the archetype is light. So generally you're not going to be putting him into a Pendulum Zone whenever he's in your deck. But once per turn during your main phase, you can target one monster you control. It can attack all special summon monsters your opponent controls once each during each battle phase this turn. Now, this isn't bad, but I would like to say that its Pendulum Scale is 4, and the best we're going to be able to do is set up a Pendulum Scale to summon level 4s, and it's level 6. So, we're not going to be using Kaleido Scorpion because it's honestly not worth it, because he has no attack, although you would be able to change that with Viper. Anyway, we also have Entermate Tiptoed. What Entermate Tiptoed does is, while it's in a Pendulum Zone, you can target one face-up monster on the field and switch its current attack and defense until the end of this turn. That can be done during your turn. Also, once per turn during your battle phase, you can target one monster you control, change its battle position, and if you do, switch its current attack and defense until the end of this turn. So that's a pretty good effect. Next up, and then we have the Entermate Silver Claw, which we're also going to be using. Now, see, the thing is that we only have 9 monsters on the end. Even though we're running 3 of each monster in our deck, we only... Well, I guess the monster counters. Well, oh, I see. Pendulums. We have 15 cards. Pendulums are both monsters and spells, so I guess it's not. I guess the end's having a little bit of difficulty making stuff register along this. But anyway, we have these 16 monsters, so we have to figure out what else are we going to put in this deck to actually make it work. Well, I was thinking, and in all honesty, one thing I came up with was Call the Haunted. Come on. Come on. Why don't you want to search Call the Haunted? I'd probably put Call of Haunted or something like that. But anyway, looking at it, we're not actually going to be able to pendulum summon the swordfish. But that really, well, it's not necessarily a good thing. It's not that bad of a thing. So why don't we take a look at other pendulum monsters we could put into the deck? Now, we could put in Focult Spellstone Cannon, but that probably isn't a good idea. Let me think. There's not really that many pendulum monsters to choose from yet. Entermates are actually getting more cards. So what would be a good idea? Let's see. Well, honestly, I think the deck's going to be playing fairly defensively, so I'm going to run defensive cards, such as your usual spells and traps. I think supplying it would be a good idea. Now, see, the big thing is that while playing Entermates, you can actually only, as of right now, your biggest one in a pure deck, your biggest ability to pendulum summon comes from only being able to pendulum summon level 4s. So you'd be able to summon Silverclaw, Viper, and Bugundola. You wouldn't be able to summon your Swordfish or your Tiptoad if they go into other spots, other spaces. And there's actually new cards coming out that will help with that. So it's not like horrible. It's not that huge of an issue. But they don't have them on DN right now, so that's the problem. So I'm trying to think of what to do to supplement this. So let's think of an archetype that wants to do the same thing. It wants to switch attack and defense. And let's look at their types. So we have insect, fish, reptile, aqua, beast. So dichotomy is looking like a pretty good card. Maybe 3 dichotomy, since it's not a very aggressive deck. Spirit Reaper seems like a good idea. I mean, you may not be able to pendulum summon him, but it's not a bad idea. I mean, he's not an Entermate monster either, but it is quite possible that we could get in there with him using the Entermate deck. So it's not a bad idea. Actually, Toon Gemini Elf. Huh. I actually like that idea. 3 Toon Gemini Elf, 3 Spirit Reaper, and then, hold on. No. Well, I kind of want to put in Cliff the Trap Remover. But I think I'll just put in a couple, well. I'm putting in Cliff. He may not work out well, but oh well. Next up's the extra deck. The main thing we're going to be able to make is rank 4s. I guess I could take out Cliff and put in some pendulum backs, but then I'd have to find somewhere for stuff. Let's see, we have Earth, Water, Earth. Yeah, we have Earth, Water, and Earth. Daigusto Emerald, Avian Sky Blaster, Exciton. Man, there's so many differences in the deck than what I usually use. Well, actually, no, there's not, actually. Considering one of my main decks is Gladiator Beasts, running a bunch of different monster types, and running a bunch of different monster types and different attributes really isn't that big of a deal to me. But one thing I am worried about is the fact that there's some cards they're getting later that they're going to kind of need. So it's probably not going to work out too well until we get them on here. But I shall do my best. Next up we have level 3s, or rank 3s, sorry. Let me think. Alucard, Leviair, types again. Invoker. Nope, he's not Earth. So, probably the next one's Zenmaines. And I'm gonna put in that rank 2 just in case. Gotcha. Gotcha. So I'm probably actually not really going to be XYZing. We don't have any tuners. I could just leave it like that, but I'd rather have a full extra deck for any occasion, really. So let's put in an Abyss Dweller, Anti-Luminescent Knight, I'm running into the same problem I tend to have in my Glad Beast. I just run out of ideas of what to put in my extra deck. Because there's so many cards that are good, but there's so many cards that you're just like, that's not that good. Maestroke. Maestroke's one of my favorites. So I'm going to save the deck, set it as default, and I'm going to mess with it. And if I decide to change the deck, I'm going to tell you guys. I'm going to let you guys check it out once I've changed it. But until then, enjoy the Entermate profile.